The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the Earth's representative walked in. Ambassador Tom Reed, a middle-aged man with graying hair and determined eyes, took his seat at the circular table. This was his first time attending a full council meeting, and the gravity of the situation weighed heavily on his shoulders. The chamber itself was a marvel of alien architecture, crystalline walls that shifted colors with the mood of the speakers, and a holographic display at the center showing the current conflict zones across the galaxy. Right now, it displayed the advancing fleet of the Dark Star Empire, their ships marked in ominous red dots spreading across multiple star systems. "We come to order," announced Head Consul White, his blue-tinted skin glowing faintly under the chamber's lights. "The situation has become critical. The Dark Star Empire has taken 3 more systems in the past month alone." Tom watched as the other representatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The council consisted of representatives from 25 advanced civilizations, each bringing thousands of years of spacefaring experience. Yet here they were, being pushed back by an aggressive empire that seemed unstoppable. "We need Earth's military assistance," declared Representative Green, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly, a sign of stress in his species. Their unconventional tactics and warfare experience could turn the tide of this war. Tom felt his heart rate increase. This was exactly what he had been warned about. Earth, despite being one of the youngest members of the galactic community, had gained a reputation. Their victory in the First Contact War against a superior alien force had caught everyone's attention. The humans had used creativity, unpredictability, and what the aliens called, completely illogical but effective, strategies to win. "With all due respect," Tom began, his voice steadied despite his nerves, "Earth has only been part of the galactic community for 15 years. We're still adapting to faster-than-light travel. Our technology is irrelevant," interrupted Representative Blue, tapping her metallic fingers on the table. "We've all seen the historical records of your planet's conflicts. Your species has an unusual talent for warfare. You think differently. You find solutions where others see none." The hologram shifted, showing Earth, a beautiful blue marble floating in space. Tom couldn't help but feel proud, yet worried. They had worked so hard for peace on their planet, finally achieving global cooperation after centuries of conflict. Now the galaxy wanted to drag them into an interstellar war. "The Dark Star Empire will reach Earth eventually," warned Head Consul White. "Better to fight them now, with allies, than alone later." Tom stood up, his chair sliding back with a soft hiss. "I must contact my government before making any commitments. But I want to be clear, Earth has seen enough war. We're not eager to jump into another one, especially not on this scale." The chamber erupted in murmurs. Head Consul White raised his hand for silence, his expression grave. "Ambassador Reed, I respect your position. But consider this, the Dark Star Empire doesn't simply conquer. They reshape entire civilizations in their image. They erase cultures, histories, everything that makes a species unique. Can Earth really afford to stay neutral?" Tom looked at the hologram again, watching as the red dots crept closer to Earth's sector. He knew this was just the beginning of a much longer discussion, one that would determine not just Earth's fate, but possibly the fate of the entire galaxy. "I will convey your concerns to my government," he said finally. "But please, understand our position. We're not saying no. We're saying we need to be very, very careful about this." As Tom sat down, he couldn't shake the feeling that despite his best efforts, Earth was about to be pulled into something much bigger than they had ever anticipated. The war was coming, whether they wanted it or not. Back in the Earth Embassy, Tom paced in his office, the holographic display of the council meeting playing on repeat. His assistant, Jack Miller, sat quietly analyzing the data from the session. "They're desperate," Jack said, pausing the playback on Head Consul White's concerned face. "Look at the tension in his bio-readings. Even their species' natural bioluminescence is dimmer than usual. Tom stopped pacing and stared out the window at the artificial ring world that housed the Galactic Council. Countless ships of different designs moved through the designated flight paths, their lights creating streams of color against the backdrop of space. "The thing is, Jack, they're right about one thing," Tom said, running a hand through his gray hair. "The Dark Star Empire won't stop. Did you see the latest intelligence reports?" Jack nodded grimly and pulled up another hologram. This one showed the devastation left in the Empire's wake, worlds stripped of their resources, populations forced into labor camps, entire cultures erased and replaced with the Empire's rigid doctrine. What they did to the ring people of Proxima B was... Jack trailed off, unable to find the right words. "Exactly," Tom replied. "And that's what has me worried. Earth might not want this war, but we might not have a choice." Pull up the tactical analysis from General Rogers. The hologram shifted to show a military briefing. Earth's defensive capabilities had improved dramatically since joining the galactic community, but they were still centuries behind many other civilizations. What they lacked in technology, however, they made up for in tactical innovation. "The Council isn't just asking for our ships or weapons," Tom mused. "They want our thinking. Our unpredictability. Our..." He smiled slightly, "our chaos." A soft chime interrupted them, an incoming transmission from Earth's United Government. President Clark's hologram appeared in the center of the room, her expression serious. "Ambassador Reed, we've reviewed your report from the Council meeting," she said without preamble. "The Security Council has been in session for the past 6 hours. Tom straightened. "And their decision?" "We're walking a fine line here, Tom," the president said. "We can't officially join the war, public opinion wouldn't support it. Not after everything we went through to achieve global peace. But..." She paused, choosing her words carefully, "we can offer advisory support." "Advisory support?" Jack asked, raising an eyebrow. "We'll send military advisors, strategic consultants, and defensive specialists," the president explained. "No direct combat involvement, but we'll help the Council races adapt our tactical approaches to their technologies." Tom nodded slowly. It was a clever compromise, involvement without full commitment. But something still nagged at him. "Madam President, what if it's not enough? The Dark Star Empire isn't known for subtlety. They might view any support we provide as a declaration of war." "Then we'll deal with that when it comes," she replied firmly. "For now, this is our position. Make it clear to the Council, we'll help, but on our terms." After the transmission ended, Tom sat heavily in his chair. Jack pulled up the latest star charts, showing the Empire's advance. "They're getting closer," Jack observed. "At their current rate of expansion. They'll reach Earth's sphere of influence within 5 years, Tom finished. Maybe sooner if they accelerate their conquest." Looking at the map, Tom couldn't shake the feeling that Earth's advisory support would soon prove insufficient. The Dark Star Empire was a force of nature, consuming everything in its path. And nature, as Earth's history had proven time and again, had a way of forcing people's hands. "Schedule another council session," Tom told Jack. "It's time to present Earth's response. And Jack, prepare contingency files. Something tells me we'll need them sooner rather than later." The next council session began with an air of tense anticipation. Tom stood before the assembled representatives, his prepared statement ready. But before he could speak, emergency alerts flashed across the chamber's holographic displays. "Incoming priority message from the Centauri Defense Fleet," announced Head Consul White, his skin pulsing with alarmed patterns of blue light. The central hologram flickered to life, showing Admiral Stone of the Centauri forces. His image was distorted by interference, and explosions could be seen in the background. "The Dark Star Empire has launched a major offensive," the Admiral reported, his voice crackling. "They've developed some kind of new weapon, it's tearing through our shields like they're not even there. We've lost contact with 3 colony worlds already. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Representative Green's 4 eyes widened in horror as data streamed in showing the devastating losses. Representative Blue's metallic fingers drummed frantically on her console as she coordinated with her world's defense forces. Tom exchanged a quick glance with Jack, who was already transmitting the information back to Earth. This changed everything. The Empire's advancement has accelerated beyond our projections, Head Consul White announced grimly. At this rate, they'll reach Earth's sector within 18 months, not 5 years as previously estimated. Tom stepped forward. His carefully prepared statement about advisory support suddenly felt inadequate. "Show me the weapon signatures," he requested. The hologram shifted, displaying technical data about the Empire's new weapon. Tom's eyes narrowed as he studied the readings, remembering something from Earth's military history. "Jack," he called out, "cross-reference this with Project Mirror from the First Contact War." Jack's fingers flew over his datapad. "Match found," he announced after a moment. "The energy signature is similar to the theoretical weapon Earth's scientists proposed but abandoned due to ethical concerns. Because it would cause cascading shield failures that could lead to reactor breaches," Tom finished. "We didn't pursue it because it would cause too much collateral damage." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. The Dark Star Empire had no such ethical restraints. Ambassador Reed, Head Consul White said quietly, "I believe your government's offer of advisory support may need to be reconsidered." Tom took a deep breath. "Patch me through to Earth." Emergency protocol. President Clark's hologram appeared moments later, her face grave as she absorbed the new information. The council watched in silence as Tom briefed her on the situation. "The Dark Star Empire has crossed a line," the president finally said. "They're using weapons we deemed too dangerous to even test. If they reach Earth..." She straightened, her decision made. "Ambassador Reed, you have new authorization. Tell the council that Earth is revising its position." Tom turned to address the council, his voice firm. "Earth will provide more than advisory support. We're offering full military cooperation, with one condition: we lead the defensive strategy development. If we're going to fight, we'll do it our way." The relief in the chamber was palpable, but Head Consul White raised a cautionary hand. "Your way. Earth's military techniques are unconventional. Some would say dangerous." "Precisely," Tom replied. "The Empire expects traditional responses. They're counting on it. But Earth specializes in the unexpected. We've won against superior forces before, and we did it by thinking differently." He gestured to the hologram showing the devastation. "The Empire believes they understand warfare. They think superior technology equals certain victory. But Earth's history tells a different story. Sometimes, the most dangerous enemy is the one you force into a corner." Admiral Stone's hologram crackled again. "Whatever you're planning, make it fast. We're losing ground by the hour." Tom nodded grimly. "Contact Earth's military command. Tell them to implement Case Black. It's time to show the Dark Star Empire why so many species warned them to stay away from Earth's sector." As the council chamber buzzed with renewed activity, Tom couldn't help but remember the old Earth saying, "Be careful what you wish for." The Empire had wanted war. Now they were going to get it, humanity style. The next 48 hours transformed the Galactic Council's headquarters into a hub of frenzied activity. Earth's military command had arrived in force, led by General Rogers, a tall, battle-scarred veteran of the First Contact War. The general's presence brought both hope and unease to the alien representatives. "The Empire's new weapon has a fatal flaw," General Rogers explained, standing before the assembled council. The holographic display showed detailed scans of the weapon's energy signature. They sacrificed safety for power. Classic mistake. Tom watched as the alien representatives leaned forward, their attention fixed on the general's words. Even Head Consul White's bioluminescence had brightened with interest. Their weapon creates a cascading shield failure by overloading the energy matrix, Rogers continued. But that same overload makes their own ships vulnerable. They're counting on striking first and striking hard. They don't expect anyone to survive long enough to exploit this weakness. Representative Blue's metallic fingers tapped thoughtfully. But their ships must have some protection against this effect. Exactly, Rogers smiled grimly. And that protection creates a unique energy signature. One we can track. The hologram shifted, showing a new tactical display. Hundreds of red dots representing Empire ships were now accompanied by faint energy trails, like predators leaving footprints in the snow. They can't hide anymore, Tom realized. We can see their fleet movements even when they're using stealth technology. Better than that, Jack added, pulling up additional data. We can predict their attack vectors based on their shield configurations. They have to adjust their protective fields before firing the weapon. The council chamber buzzed with excited murmurs, but Representative Green raised a cautionary hand. This is valuable intelligence, but the Empire's fleets still outnumber us. Even with this knowledge, we lack the forces to mount an effective defense. General Rogers' smile widened. Numbers aren't everything. Earth learned that lesson the hard way during the First Contact War. Now it's time to teach it to the Empire. He nodded to Jack, who activated a new holographic display. The image showed what appeared to be small, unmanned ships, hundreds of them. We call them Fireflies, Rogers explained. Automated drones equipped with modified shield generators. When the Empire's weapon hits them, they create a feedback loop, Jack finished. The cascading failure bounces back through the Empire's own shield network. Their weapon becomes their weakness. Head Consul White's skin flickered with patterns of concern. This strategy, it could destroy their entire fleet. That's the point, Rogers said firmly. The Empire chose to use this weapon. They chose to break the ethical boundaries of warfare. Now they'll face the consequences. Tom stepped forward. We're not just fighting to defend ourselves anymore. The Empire has shown they're willing to use weapons that could destabilize the very fabric of space-time. They need to be stopped, decisively. The Fireflies are already in production, Rogers added. Earth's factories are working around the clock. We'll have enough to deploy defensive screens around all major systems within 2 weeks. Representative Blue's metallic face couldn't show emotion, but her voice carried clear approval. How soon can we begin training our forces in these new tactics? Training begins immediately, Rogers replied. We've prepared simulation programs that will. The chamber's emergency alert suddenly blared to life. Admiral Stone's hologram appeared again, his image even more distorted than before. The Empire, they're pushing toward the Council sector. Static interference garbled his words. Multiple fleets, they must have detected our preparations, they're trying to end this before. The transmission cut off abruptly. Head Consul White's skin paled to an almost white shade. They're coming here? To the Council headquarters? Tom exchanged glances with General Rogers. They had expected the Empire to react to Earth's involvement, but not this quickly. Not this aggressively. How many Fireflies are ready now? Tom asked urgently. Less than 100, Rogers answered. Not enough for a full defense screen. Tom's jaw set firmly. Then we'll have to improvise. That's what humans do best, isn't it? Jack, contact Earth. Tell them to deploy everything we have. The Empire wants to test our resolve? Fine. Let's show them what happens when you corner humanity. Alarms blared throughout the Council station as the Empire's fleet emerged from hyperspace. The massive holographic display showed waves of enemy ships, their weapon systems already charging for attack. "Evacuation protocols initiated," announced the station's AI. "All non-essential personnel proceed to emergency shelters." Tom stood with General Rogers in the Tactical Command Center, watching as the Defender's ships moved to intercept. The few available Firefly drones were being strategically positioned, but there weren't enough to form a complete defensive screen. "Status report," Rogers barked, his eyes fixed on the tactical display. Jack's fingers flew across multiple holographic interfaces. Empire fleet consists of 300 capital ships and approximately 1,000 support vessels. They're arranging in attack formation Delta, same pattern they used at Centauri. "They're creatures of habit," Tom observed. "That's their weakness. They repeat tactics that worked before." Rogers nodded grimly. "Then let's use that against them. Execute Operation Hornet's Nest." The remaining Council ships, bolstered by Earth's small but advanced fleet, began moving in what appeared to be standard defensive formations. To the Empire, it would look like a desperate last stand. "Enemy ships entering weapon range in 3 minutes, Jack reported. Head Consul White entered the command center, his skin pulsing with emergency patterns. "Ambassador Reed, General Rogers, our evacuation ships are ready, but we need more time." "We'll give you time," Rogers assured him, then turned to his tactical officers. "Launch the Fireflies. Random pattern Omega." The small drones shot forward, their erratic movements making them difficult targets. The Empire's fleet adjusted their formation slightly, exactly as predicted. "They're taking the bait," Tom said, watching the enemy ships cluster together to maximize their weapons' effect. "They think the drones are just a desperate defensive measure." "Enemy weapons charging," Jack announced. "They're powering up their shield breakers." Rogers smiled grimly. "Now." At his command, the Firefly drones suddenly changed their seemingly random movements into a precise pattern. Before the Empire could react, the drones had positioned themselves at key points throughout their formation. Enemy firing in 3, 2, 1. The space between the fleets lit up as the Empire launched their devastating weapon. Energy cascades rippled through space, aimed at tearing apart the Defender's shields. But this time, something was different. The Firefly drones activated their modified shield generators in perfect synchronization. The Empire's energy weapon hit them, and instead of destroying them, the energy began to bounce back and forth, amplifying with each reflection. "Energy feedback loop established," Jack reported, excitement in his voice. "It's working." The Empire's frontline ships began to experience the very effect they had planned to use against the Defenders. Their shields overloaded, the cascading failures spreading through their tightly packed formation like a virus. "They're breaking formation," Tom observed, watching as the enemy fleet tried to scatter. "But they're too close together." "That's the beauty of it," Rogers said. "Their own tactical doctrine is working against them. They train to maintain tight formations for maximum weapon effectiveness. They can't break apart fast enough to escape the feedback loop." The command center watched in awe as the Empire's mighty fleet began to tear itself apart. Ships that had terrorized countless civilizations were now helpless against their own weapons' power turned against them. But victory wasn't assured yet. A significant portion of the Empire's fleet had survived, and they were regrouping for a second attack. "Incoming transmission from the Empire's command ship," Jack announced. The holographic display shifted to show the Empire's fleet commander, a tall, imposing figure in black armor. His voice boomed through the command center. "This is your only warning. Surrender the Council station, or we will destroy it and everyone aboard. You have 10 minutes to comply." Tom looked at Rogers, both men knowing they needed more time for reinforcements to arrive. The Firefly drones had bloodied the Empire's nose, but the battle was far from over. "Send our response," Tom said firmly. "Tell them that humanity has a counteroffer. They can retreat now, or learn why the First Contact War ended with their side running away." The Empire's fleet commander's image flickered with barely contained rage. "You dare to threaten us? We have conquered 1,000 worlds. Your tricks with these drones are nothing but a temporary setback." 7 minutes until they attack, Jack whispered, monitoring the enemy fleet's movements. Tom stepped forward, facing the fleet commander's hologram. "Those 1,000 worlds you conquered? They fought alone. We fight together. Look around you, Commander. Really look." The tactical display shifted, showing the full strategic situation. While the Empire had been focused on the battle at hand, dozens of jump points were activating around them. Earth's full fleet had arrived, along with ships from every Council race. "Divide and conquer works well against isolated worlds," General Rogers added, joining Tom. "Not so much against a united galaxy that's learned to fight like humans." The Empire's ships were now completely surrounded. The remaining Firefly drones had been redistributed, their positions optimized by Earth's tactical AI. Every escape route was covered. "This is impossible," the fleet commander snarled. "Our intelligence said Earth's main fleet was days away." "Did they?" Tom smiled. "Or did we want you to think that? You're not the only ones who can plan an ambush." Head Consul White stepped forward, his skin glowing with a pattern that Tom had learned meant fierce determination. "Your Empire has brought enough death to this galaxy. Surrender now, or face the consequences." The fleet commander's response was cut off by urgent alerts from his own ships. The tactical display showed why. More Firefly drones were emerging from the newly arrived Earth ships, thousands of them, forming an intricate web around the Empire's fleet. A wise human general once said, "Supreme excellence consists of breaking the enemy's resistance without fighting," Tom quoted. "We gave you a chance to retreat. Now you have a choice: surrender, or watch your fleet destroy itself with its own weapon." Jack's console beeped urgently. "Enemy ships are powering up weapons. They're going to try to shoot their way out." "Typical," Rogers muttered. "They never learn. All ships, execute pattern Delta. Show them what coordinated warfare really looks like." The combined fleet moved with perfect synchronization, a dance of ships that had been practiced countless times in simulation. Each vessel knew its role, each movement calculated to force the Empire into an impossible choice. 3 minutes until their weapons are fully charged, Jack reported. The fleet commander's hologram showed him barking orders to his bridge crew, but Tom could see the fear beginning to show in his posture. The Empire had never faced an opponent who could turn their own tactics against them so effectively. "Final warning," Tom announced. "Look at your tactical display. Really look. Those aren't just Earth ships out there. Those are ships from every world you threatened, every civilization you tried to destroy. We're not just fighting you, we're teaching the galaxy how to fight back." The display showed the truth of his words. The Council race's ships were moving with newfound confidence, executing human tactical patterns with increasing skill. The Empire's fleet was trapped in a web of their own making. 1 minute to weapon charge, Jack called out. The fleet commander's image straightened, his pride warring with reality. The Empire does not Sir Dash. His transmission cut off as the first of his ships attempted to fire their shield-breaking weapon. The effect was instantaneous. The Firefly drones activated their modified shields, creating a cascade of energy that rippled through the tightly packed Empire formation. "Energy feedback at critical levels," Jack reported, watching the reading spike. "Their shields are failing. All of them." Tom watched as the mighty Empire fleet began to go dark, their own weapon becoming their undoing. But he took no joy in it. This was the price of their arrogance, their refusal to believe that a younger race could outthink them. "Begin rescue operations," he ordered. "Let's show them the difference between their empire and us. We save lives, even our enemies' lives." As rescue ships moved in to help the crew of the disabled Empire vessels, Tom couldn't help but think that this might be the most important lesson humanity could teach the galaxy: victory didn't have to mean destruction. 1 month after the Battle of the Council Station, the Galactic Council chamber was packed for a historic session. The once mighty Dark Star Empire's leadership stood before the assembly, not as conquerors, but as signatories to a peace treaty. Tom watched from his seat as Head Consul White read the terms of surrender. The Empire's territory would be divided and returned to their original inhabitants. Their military would be disbanded, their shield-breaking weapons destroyed. But unlike the Empire's usual tactics, there would be no erasure of their culture, no destruction of their civilization. "The terms are harsh but fair," the Empire's Prime Minister admitted, his black armor replaced by civilian robes. "We underestimated humanity. And the galaxy as a whole." General Rogers, standing near the chamber's entrance, nodded slightly. The battle had been decisive, but it was Earth's approach to victory that had truly shocked the Empire. Rescue operations had saved thousands of Empire crew members. Prisoners were treated with respect. It was a kind of warfare they had never encountered, one where victory didn't mean annihilation. "Before we sign," Tom stood up, addressing the assembly, "I want to make something clear. Earth didn't win this war alone. We simply showed what was possible when we stand together." The chamber's holographic display activated, showing recordings from the battle. Council ships executing complex maneuvers in perfect coordination. Firefly drones moving in intricate patterns. Different species working together with a efficiency that would have been impossible just months ago. "The Empire's greatest mistake," Tom continued, "wasn't attacking us. It was believing that younger civilizations had nothing to teach them. That technological superiority guaranteed victory. That cruelty was strength." Representative Green's 4 eyes blinked in agreement. "Humanity showed us a different path. You taught us that innovation comes from necessity, that apparent weakness can become strength. And that mercy," Representative Blue added, her metallic fingers no longer nervously tapping, "can be more powerful than any weapon." The Empire's Prime Minister looked down at the peace treaty. "We thought Earth was weak because they begged not to be drawn into this war. We didn't understand that their reluctance came from wisdom, not fear." Head Consul White's skin glowed with patterns of hope and satisfaction. "Let this be remembered as the day the galaxy learned its greatest lesson: true strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the choice to preserve." Jack, working at his console, showed Tom the latest reports. Across the former Empire's territories, reconstruction efforts were already underway. Earth's universities were filling with students from every council race, eager to learn not just human military tactics, but human philosophy, art, and culture. "The treaty is ready for signing," Head Consul White announced. As the various representatives stepped forward to add their signatures, Tom felt a deep sense of satisfaction. Earth had been dragged into a war they didn't want, but they had managed to end it in a way that made the galaxy stronger, not weaker. President Clark's hologram appeared beside him. "Well done, Ambassador. Though I suspect our peaceful days of staying out of galactic politics are over." Tom smiled. "Maybe that's not such a bad thing. We wanted to avoid war, but in doing so, we learned something important. Sometimes the best way to prevent future wars is to show there's a better way to win them." The chamber erupted in applause as the final signature was added to the treaty. As Tom looked around at the assembled representatives, former enemies now allies, advanced civilizations now students of humanity's approach to conflict resolution, he realized that the galaxy had changed forever. Earth had been dragged into a war, yes. But they had turned it into something more, a lesson in unity, innovation, and compassion that would echo through the stars for generations to come. "Ready to get back to work?" Jack asked, showing him the countless requests for human advisors, teachers, and diplomats flooding in from across the galaxy. Always, Tom replied. After all, teaching peace turns out to be a lot more complicated than winning war. As the council chamber began to empty, the holographic display showed thousands of ships departing the station, each carrying a piece of humanity's legacy to the stars. They had come seeking Earth's skill at war, but they had found something far more valuable, Earth's vision of peace.